Welcome, Legion. Today I want to talk to you guys about safely increasing your training loads when you're returning from injury. I'm going to use this graph here, a little chart, to just give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about when we're trying to increase our training loads when we're coming back from an injury. So let's say this little spot down here is day one rehab. Alrighty. So essentially this here is our training loads, and across here is our time. I'll talk to you about this little bottom piece in a little bit. Essentially, from a pretty serious injury, day one, there's going to be zero training load, or coming off zero training load. Maybe you've had surgery as well. So the training load is going to be very low. Obviously, this needs to increase to get back to this bad boy over here, which is return to play, or as we even refer, return to performance. So it's important that we follow this kind of green line progression that we've written here, where we make this subtle increase in load, and then we might just ever so slightly plateau a little bit, and then subtly increase, and then plateau, and then subtly increase, and then plateau. And then we just keep going until we've achieved the loads that we're going to have to tolerate when we're playing our sport. Now this can be, again, across so many different domains. It doesn't actually have to be field-based sport. It can even translate to strength training as well, and strength-based sports, where your return to play is squatting, bench pressing, snatching, clean and jerking, your previous heavy weights. So this is straight carryover. If you're field-based, this might be more running loads or change of directions. It can be anything we're talking about. Ideally, return to play is our end result, which is our get back playing sport. So from here, we can now start to talk about what it might look like if we don't do this properly. And what we'll see is this blue line here, where if we just like rapidly jump up our training loads, maybe in an effort to try and get back quicker than what we want to, what will happen more often than not, and this can either be, this peak here can be one of two things. Either a really hard training session, coming up into a hard training session, and maybe it was too much too soon, or maybe you've just gone, bugger it, I'm just going to play, bang, big spike in load, because naturally you probably would have done very little, and then bang, you're just going to jump straight back into playing. Now, more often than not will happen, and this is very, very true, you'll have to go back down, because you will either get re-injured here, or it'll just be too much at that time, and either your injury is going to be a bit annoying, like it's going to cause a bit of a pain reaction, and you're going to have to naturally back down. So you just have to do that. And then maybe you'll try and do it again, and then you'll drop off again. And it's going to get a little bit more worse every single time you're doing this. Maybe to the point where you're like, oh, I'll give it one more go, bang, crack. Now we're fully re-injured, and that's what this space down here is the bottom is, full re-injury, or an even worse injury. So we've got to be very careful. Now, how we can get around this, first one, get help. Make sure we see a physio and a strength and conditioning coach. Ideally together, you're all going to create a plan. You're going to set some goals and some targets, and you're going to follow this process of train and make gradual process and keep recovery in the program. So just because you're injured and maybe early on the training intensity isn't too much, we can make a bit of a linear increase, but at some point the training is going to start getting a little bit tricky. It's going to get a little bit tough. So you have to naturally just even put these little pieces, little deloads, if you will, into your rehab training, as opposed to this one straight line, get straight back to sport. So you still have to plan your recovery, because the training at some point at part of your rehab is going to become quite challenging. It's not just going to be all these little small exercises. They're going to become bigger, and the intensity is going to increase, and you need to recover from that intensity. So the other big takeaway from this is to make sure that we don't do too much too soon. And this is where, you ask the question, well, how do I know? This is where you bring your team in, physios, S&Cs. These guys have trained and studied to know what is too much and what is too little. So they'll give you the balance in regards to this. So hopefully you're on a good program that's giving you these green line results, return to play, as opposed to just chasing this blue line, which always ultimately ends up in this bad boy here, which is re-injury. that's the thing that we're trying to avoid at all cost. All right, thanks for that, guys. Hopefully that helped.